coming up against an Arizona team. How improved is Arizona compared to when you faced them last year?
I wasn't here last year, so I mean, watching the film, I think, that quarterback they had last year did a really nice job. This guy's doing a nice job. He's a younger guy, but he's making the throws he needs to make, and he can run the ball a little bit. And, they've done a nice job. Their offense has evolved over the last 3 years with Coach Rich Rod, and, they've gotten better every year.
Anu Solomon is a guy who, in some ways, he's kind of like Marcus, where he can move around. He's pretty mobile, and he can make things happen with his feet. Is there any kind of way that you can use Marcus as a gauge as to how well you think you can get after a guy like Anu?
Well, I think they're a little different because Marcus, the danger with Marcus, obviously, is he can make all the throws in the pocket, but once he gets out of the pocket, he can run for 100. This young guy, Anu Solomon, I think that he can get out of the pocket, but then the danger with him is he might throw one. He'll throw it to the sideline, he'll throw the bubble, he'll throw the slant after he leaves the pocket. So you're not worried about him breaking it for 100, which he could, but that's not what he wants to do. I think he wants to move around and make a throw. So they're a little different, but they're both mobile guys.
So does that mean does that change the way that you guys approach or scheme for Anu, a guy who just wants to sort of extend it within the pocket, behind the line of scrimmage?
Yeah, I mean, you have to do a great job in coverage. When you're in zone coverage, you have to turn to man. You have to stay in coverage. You can't get everybody biting up on him. That's hurt us in the past a little bit. Russell Wilson did the same kind of thing against us in the Rose Bowl. So you have to really be disciplined in your coverage and turn that man into zone.
Do you feel like your guys have been, breaking down into coverage pretty well so far this season? Washington State was a great test for that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some errors around, and the open field tackling we got to get fixed. But for the most part, they're okay in coverage. Rodney dropped a couple balls, so obviously we'd like to have those back. But the good thing this week in practice, the young guys that are playing with us, not even young guys, but inexperienced guys, they're starting to learn how to practice, and they're learning how to communicate. And once you communicate, that always makes coverage better.
How about Rodney? What is his progression? What has his improvement been like so far through just the first quarter of the year?
Rodney, he improves every day, and he's one of those guys we're talking about. He didn't really know how to practice, and he's learning how to practice, and he's learning how to communicate, and he understands now that it's just not about him. The hand signal tells him what to do, but it also tells everybody else what to do. So, if 11 guys are giving the wrong hand signal, we'll be okay. We just don't want 3 guys giving the wrong hand signal and 8 guys giving the right one. We got 2 different defenses going. We want to all be on the same page, and he's starting to understand that.
Does it feel like guys like Rodney, and from my vantage point the other night, it seemed like the linebackers are sort of a close but not close enough kind of thing? Like they swarm to the ball pretty well, but it almost seems like they're a half step short. Rodney was so close to picking off that ball and going pick 6 the other way.
And that was something. We kind of knew that formation in that play, and Rodney, he told us before the game that he was going to do that. He said he was going to get down, he was going to drop, and he was going to pick that thing off, and he was going to score a touchdown. And he wasn't a step short. If you watch the film, it hit him like in the wrist. He didn't have 2 hands on the ball. He tried to make the one-handed grab, and that's something a young player does, and he won't do it again.